That's Jason La Canfora, CBS Sports NFL analyst here on the Dan Patrick Show. Jason, do you consider what happened with the Cowboys website to be tampering?
I think we've run amok now with this whole idea that anything that's said about anybody else under contract, is tampering. I mean, I think we have to get to the heart of what's going on here, which is someone doing something that's trying to influence a player to violate his contract and in some way favor this team that he has no allegiance to, or get him there, or create issues for him and his current team. Adrian Peterson is doing a pretty good job of that on his own with the Vikings, is he not?
Yeah.
I think we've become like, this is, I don't know, all of a sudden this is like something that people are supposed to care about now, or people are supposed to engender faux anger about. I mean, all that stuff with Revis, none of that was really tampering. You know what I mean? I mean, the real idea of tampering is you are having contact with a player that you're not supposed to have contact to, with the design. An article on a team website, I guess, even though it's written by a team employee, you could try to make the case, but to me, this is what to do about nothing.
The Vikings publicly have said they want Adrian Peterson back. Do you believe they want Adrian Peterson back?
Yes. I mean, if they didn't and don't, then they could have sent that message to any number of teams. And while you may not have been able to consummate a trade until he's officially reinstated, people knew that he would be reinstated, and there would have been ways to have a deal, basically in effect, pending a physical, well before now. Now, will that change over the next 2 weeks? Will they realize, this might not be worth the aggravation? We did have a pretty decent season without him last year, running the football and going 7-9 with a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback in a very tough division. And, he is going to be 30, and boy, we could spend that $13.5 million in a lot of different ways. So we'll see. I don't believe that they're as adamantly against the notion of a trade as they're making it sound. What the real issue is will, A, they have the same valuation on what he's worth as some other team, and then B, will Peterson take less to play elsewhere? Because I don't think Dallas or Arizona or Washington or whomever is going to pay him $13 million this year. They might want to pay him $8, maybe up to $10. But I don't know that he's going to be able to have his cake and eat it too. But I will tell you this, if he's not traded, I expect him to remain dug in and for this thing to be ugly and remain ugly through the offseason. And maybe at some point he extracts even more money out of the Vikings in order to return.
If you're a team looking to acquire Adrian Peterson, what kind of value are you putting on him? How much are you looking to give up? And more than that, how many years are you sort of internally expecting to get out of a 30-year-old running back?
I mean, that's what makes this so difficult. I mean, you look at the fact of, okay, there's no tread on the tires from last year, right? I mean, he basically got a year off. But then did he lose any of his edge? Will he jump right back in and be that freak of nature he's always been? I guess his return from the ACL would tell you don't discount his ability to do freakish athletic things, but then you bring up the specter of for how long, and that's another question nobody knows. You do become more vulnerable to injury as you get older. That is a position where if you're just even slightly less explosive, you can easily become expendable. And then what contract structure would the other team that trades for him find reasonable? I can't imagine to deal with huge guaranteed money that's spread over beyond 3 seasons or even 3 seasons. I don't know that is the commitment. I mean, maybe you're looking more at you could call it a 5-year deal, but it's really a 2-year deal with a bunch of, team options essentially after that, given how it's structured. I think it will be a difficult trade to consummate, and I'm not sure it does, but I also don't expect his agent, Ben Dogra, to do anything other than continue to sort of try to browbeat the Vikings into capitulating because, again, even if the value's not there, at some point, is it addition by subtraction for the Vikings, just having this distraction gone, having a guy who doesn't want to be there out of there? And again, it's not like they had a horrible season without him last year. For where they were in their program, I thought they made some pretty strong strides despite having this hanging over their backs every week.
Is Jason La Canfora, CBS Sports, joining us here at Dan Patrick Show. Do you believe that Tampa Bay still doesn't know who they're going to take?
I believe and have written and reported that Tampa Bay has been pretty locked in on Jameis Winston since around the Senior Bowl, and that they were very comfortable with him then as the first overall pick, and that comfort level has only continued to grow the more time they've spent directly around him. And he has been the pick essentially for quite some time. Could something happen that changes this in the next 2 weeks? I suppose. Look, Winston could do something. Something else about Winston could come to light. Maybe at the last second, ownership does an about-face, but the football people in that building have been trending in this direction for quite some time. It's been growing momentum for Winston in that building. Is it unanimous? No. The coordinator, Dirk Cutter, might be more of a Mariota guy, but let's face it, you're talking the first overall pick and you're talking a quarterback. That's a huge organizational decision that's being made at the very highest levels of the team, and a position coach or a coordinator here or there is not going to throw that off track.
Is the swing in opinion that seems to have taken place over the last week, whether it's from the Mike Mayocks of the world or the Ron Jaworskis of the world, is that just stuff that happens during the draft process, or is there something more to this seeming surge for a guy like Marcus Mariota?
It's just the natural ebb and flow of a process that's, let's face it, a lot of this is just kind of BS, right? I mean, it's kind of like opinions, and it's kind of shooting arrows, and it's kind of connecting dots. It just is. And now this thing is pushed back to May, and then there's an extra week or two for people to have to continue to sort of navel gaze and come up with different rankings and just kind of continue the hype process, and that's going to lead to things like this. But the reality is, I mean, I've had people tell me for months, if you're getting Mariota, you better go to 2 because it's going to be quarterback. And people for months have said they really like Marcus Mariota. And frankly, when 2 or 3 weeks ago the narrative was he doesn't try hard enough to be the first overall pick, and that pro day wasn't good enough, and maybe he's not enough of a competitor. And I'm at that time saying this is the biggest load of crap I've ever heard in my life. Like, this isn't real at all, and this isn't affecting NFL people's evaluations of him. And teams really, really like Marcus Mariota, but they don't want to come out and say it because what do you have to gain from it? And maybe he does slip a little bit. And, maybe the scheme does scare some people off. But it's a 2-quarterback draft, and when it's that situation, more times than not, they both end up going really high. And when one of them is already pegged for first overall, the other one's not going to be around very long.
Good to visit with you, Jason. Appreciate the time.
You got it. Thank you.
That's Jason Canfora, CBS Sports, joining us here, Dan Patrick Show.